Middos. Middos al Zion. The hall of the fire had two gateways, one open to the Kale and one open to the courtyard. Rabbi Yehuda said the gateway that opened to the courtyard had a small doorway through which the Kohanim would enter to inspect the courtyard. The hall of the fire was a dome. It was a large house encircled with ledges of stone, and the elders of the base Ab would sleep there, and the keys of the courtyard were in their hands. And the young Kohanim would sleep each with his pillow on the ground. And there was a hollow place there that measured 1 amma by 1 amma, and a marble tile with a ring was fixed in it, and a chain upon which the keys were hung. When the time to lock the gates arrived, the Kohen would lift the tile with the ring and remove the keys from the chain, and then the Kohen would lock the gates from the inside, while the Levi was sleeping outside. When the Kohen finished locking the gates, he would turn the keys to the chain and the tile to its place. He would then place his covering upon the tile and go to sleep. If one of the Kohanim experienced a similar mission, he would exit the hollow of fire and proceed through the tunnel that went under the Bria, and there were lamps burning here and there until he reached the immersion room. Rabbi Eliezer ben Yaakov says he would leave through a second tunnel that went underneath the Chel and would exit the Temple Mount and go on his way via Tadi. This is the second place that we learned. The second place that we learned that there was a ring attached, because
it's repeating the information that we had in Maseches.
No, I don't mean that. I mean in the part where the last Mishna, when they came in, the one that had where the daughter committed some blasphemous thing, and they took away the rings or something like that. You know what I'm talking about?
Oh, those are different rings. Those are the rings.
They're different. I know they're different. I know it's
that was one of the families. One of the families was punished because they didn't because they what was the situation?
Someone could fit some kind of blasphemous act. They said something like that.
Yeah, that's right. And they sealed up their pigeonhole. It was a pigeonhole that they had, I think.
It's the only two places I know of where there was a tile with rings attached. So,
right. Okay. So now I'm actually going to change my share over to here. So you can see this picture over here. That I've got over here, because we're looking now at the whole of the Har HaBayis, because here, just over here, is the main Azara, but the Har HaBayis, as we see in Mishnah Aleph, Har HaBayis haya 500 amma al 500 amma, 500 ammas square. This whole area here is 500 ammas. Rubo min hadorom, and the largest area is here in the south. Okay.
We also see, by the way, I keep bringing this up, on the right side of that, on my side, on the right side of the diagram, that is moved up. That one that has the two entranceways, one to the outside, one to the inside, is closer to the steps.
Which area are you referring to?
Keep going up with the arrow to the right side, up, right, a little more, right there. See that little box over there? I'm pointing on my computer like you can see it.
Yeah.
That's a little closer to the steps, like the other one.
The Beit HaMoked. Yeah, the Beit HaMoked. So it's not 100% clear between all the diagrams. It appears that there's no measurement of where it started and how big it is. That's one of the things that we don't have in Maseches Middos, is in the exact location of the Beit HaMoked, which means that we do have a number of different shittas of where things were.
Right.
Wait. Okay. Here we are. So most of the area of Har HaBayis is in the south. Sheni lo min mizrach. Then the east is the next largest area. Shlishi lo min tzafon. This is the third, and miyoto min marav. And the western area is the smallest area. So this over here, this is the Kotel Maravi over here.
Right.
Okay. So it's actually very close to the Kodesh HaKadoshim where the dome is, but the rest of the Har HaBayis goes a long way around this way.
Right.
And of course, the largest area over here, this is where most of the activity happens. So I would imagine that you would have the marketplace around here. Remember, there's going to be a market there of korban grade animals and nisuchim, all these, the wines and the oils and whatever. Remember, we had all these stalls where you buy the tokens and then you hand in the tokens at the other places. So that's all happening in this area in the southern area, mostly of the Har HaBayis.
Okay.
Kol hanichnasim lahar bayis. Everyone who came into Har Bayis nichnasim derech yamin. So let's say somebody, you've got all these 5 entrances that we've mentioned to the Har Bayis, which you can see in this diagram here.
Right.
Okay, and when you walk in, the first thing you do is you turn right, and you walk around the outside. If you're going to be walking around, if you don't have business to go into the thing, let's say you just want to come and daven. All you want to do is come and daven to Hashem. Then the way that you come in is you turn right and you walk around in this direction, and that to this day is the direction that tour groups take on Har Bayis. So they come in through the Rambam's gate over here, which is also known as Shar Mugrabim, and you go around here and walk around the outside over here, and then come back along here and then go out through here. That's the normal derech. Okay, except chutz mimi she'er od davar. So somebody who's had some sort of tragedy or something negative in his life. Shehu makif lismol. He turns and walks in the opposite direction, which of course causes a stir. And the people who are walking and see him walking in the other direction say, "Malach makif lismol. Why are you walking in this direction?" They say to him, "Shani avel," because he says, "I'm an avel." Okay. Hashochen b'bayis hazeh yenachemcha. May he who dwells in this place in this bayis, may he give you comfort. Amen. And so that way, as he's walking around, they would be able to be menachem avel.
Right.
Jani menode. Oh, what happens if a guy it has been excommunicated? And, that's also a reason to go around. So says Rabbi Meir. He says that may Hashem place in the heart of the people who put you in Nidoi that they should bring you close again. And Amar lo Rabbi Yossi hears this and says, "Excuse me, you're being motzi diba on the people who put him in Nidoi. They're the rov. They've paskened that he's in Nidoi. We can't second guess their judgment and flatter him and tell him that it's not really your fault. You got to tell him the right thing. Asitan keilu avru Allah besadin. It's like you're making it as if they've paskened badly. Ela hashochin b'bayse yitain belibach v'sishma ledivrei chaverecha v'karbocha. May he who dwells in this house should put into your heart that you should basically do teshuvah. You should listen to what your friends are saying, and they'll bring you back. So, okay, so that's the comfort that they give the menuda. Anyway, lifnin mimenu. So inside the Har Bayis is the soreg. There's a fence over here, and you can see this dotted line over here. I believe this dotted line is the soreg. It's not labeled in this diagram, but it looks in the right place. Okay. So the soreg is gavoa 10 tvachim. It's only 10 tvachim high, which is like basically waist height.
Right.
But it's enough. It's enough to make you notice that you're moving into a different place. Let me just see if there's any. If it was in the commentary or no. This is it. So the soreg. This was the outer bound of the area. It was the furthest that non-Jews were allowed to come. Okay. Non-Jews were allowed into the Har Bayis. They wanted to pray to Hashem. This is a great place for them to come. They will come here and they will pray, and that's the limit where they can go. That's, by the way, the soreg is also the limit where a Tvul Yom is allowed to go. Or somebody who's Tamei Mace.
I have a sidebar here. Is that soreg? Is that where the word sorgim come from?
Yes.
Well,
Yeah. Sorgim is bars. Yeah. So the soreg, this is also the limit of where somebody who is Tamei Mace is allowed to go. Lechatchila.
Were they like you know how we have fences around our garden, the side of our garden, it's a wrought iron fence, and they're made of bars.
Yes.
You know, is that what this must be?
I don't know the nature of this fence over here, or like what they made it out of, but it's the same shorish.
I'm sure. Okay.
So somebody who's Tamei Mace is also allowed to come up to the soreg. That's the gezerah that they shouldn't come closer, because if he comes into the chayil, he's chayav kares. Okay, so when people go to Har Bayis and they go to mikveh in the morning and whatever, they're not getting rid of tumas mace, but they're also not going past this soreg over here. Okay.
So you've been to Har Bayis. I haven't been.
Yeah.
There like 30 years ago, something like that. How did they know where that soreg was? They know where that's
by the measurements, because if we take this over here as the golden dome,
right.
so the golden dome is centered over the Kodesh HaKadoshim, and then you can work outwards from there.
From there, okay. All right.
Okay. So so the soreg had 13 breaches. Why? Because Partsum Malchei Yavan, the kings of Greece took offense to the fact that non-Jews were not allowed past the chayil, so they went and broke it down.
Right.
Okay. And the Chazru Gedarum, and after the Chashmonaim came and took it back, and they rebuilt the soreg. The Gazru Kenegdam Shloshes Reish Tachavayos, and they said, okay, in all these places that we prepared, these are places where you should bow down in thanks for the fact that we've got our place back. So they make all these 13 places to bow down. Lifni Mimenu. So now inside the chayil over here, you've got inside the soreg, you've got the chayil. So this here, this area here, that's sort of shaded. And the reason why it's shaded is because it's actually in stairs. Now let's see if we can switch back to this diagram here. No, it doesn't have the chayil. It's just inside the chayil. So here, so this sort of shaded area over here is the chayil. And now we're going to have a description of the chayil.
You said there were steps there?
Yeah, so the chayil, we're going to see it now in the Mishnah.
Because we see there's a line going around on that shaded part. We can see
right
in the middle there.
So this over here where my cursor is, and there are two dark lines, and in between it looks shaded. Right,
in between is a shaded part.
So that shading is actually a lot of lines which represent the stairs.
Right. Okay.
Okay. So it's 10 amas wide, and there are 12 stairs going up here. Okay, which means if there are 12 stairs, then each step is just a little bit less than half an amma.
Okay.
Oh, so just a little bit less than 1 amma, because you 12 stairs and 10 ammas. So you've got a little bit less than 1 amma width of the step. Okay. Rum hamala chatzi amma, and each step was half an amma. So your grade is half an amma in just less than an amma. So it's a gentle stairway going up towards the Azara. V'shilcha chatzi amma. So it would go up half an amma and in half an amma. Oh, so it's actually a 45-degree grade. All right. Kol amalos shehayusham rum mala chatzi amma. V'shilcha chatzi amma chutz mishal ulam. So all of the stairs in the mikdash, the measurements was half an amma up and half an amma in. So it was basically a 45-degree grade of all of the stairs. Okay, except for the stairs going up to the ulam, which we will see over here. Okay, so basically these stairs over here going up to the ulam have got a different grade, which we'll come to when we
half an amma and a half an amma in for each step and a half amma in the tread part.
Right.
Up to the antechamber.
Except for the antechamber, that's the ulam. Okay. So the ulam we'll get to a little bit later, and you'll see that the stairs in the ulam are slightly different. So while we're talking about consistency in measurements, all of the gateways and entrances that were in the mikdash had the same dimensions. Govhan as esrim amma v'rochban eser amos. So all of the gates were 10 ammas wide and 20 ammas high. Yeah, that's actually huge. You realize that is actually really huge. That's each gateway, okay, 5 meters wide and 10 meters high.
Very high, very big.
10 meters high. That is enormous. I mean, your standard door over here is like maybe 2 meters.
Right.
So it's a doorway that's so those are very, very big gates. Chutz mishal ulam, except for the ulam, which was double that, as we'll see later, double in both dimensions.
The antechamber had curtains. Didn't
Right.
have
Kol
them.
hapesachim shahayu sham hayu lahen delasos. So in general, all of the places had doors, except for the ulam, which had a curtain. Right. Kol hasharim shahayu sham hayu lahem shkofos chutz mishar tzadi. So all of them had a mashkof. In other words, they were standard doorways. You know, the two posts and a lintel. Okay, and except the Tadi gate. Remember the Tadi gate, that's the northern gate over here. You take a look in the diagram. This gate over here that I'm pointing at, that's the Tadi gate on the outside of the Harabais. And that one was Shehayu Sham Shtei Avanim Mutos Zo al Gavzod, which is basically like a triangular gate. It didn't have a top, it was just it was a different style of gate.
The rush seems to mean that the entire gateway was triangular in shape.
Yes, that's right.
The round, right.
That's what I just said. Yeah.
I know.
Yeah. Okay. Kol hasharim shahayu sham nishtanu lios shel zahav. All of the gates that they put into the mikdash, they eventually upgraded. I mean, it didn't start out this way, but when they came into wealth and could invest more in the mikdash, they plated them all with gold. Chutz mishar Nikanor. Okay, and here's Shar Nikanor over here, in the middle of the screen. Okay, this is the one leading up to the Ezras Yisrael. And right. Okay, yeah, and these ones were made of copper. Okay, because there was that nice that happened with Nicanor. They went to Egypt to get these gates made for the doors, and they were plated with copper originally. And there was this whole story with they put them on the ship, and there was a big storm at sea. Right. Back to Eretz Yisrael, and they had to bail one of the doors just to try to stabilize the ship, and it still didn't debate. And Nicanor said, like, I didn't come here just to throw this overboard. He said, throw me overboard with it. He did a Yonah story, right? So they threw him overboard with the gate, and suddenly the storm stopped, and miraculously he floated all the way to shore, and he was so upset that he hadn't done that with the first door. And then when he got to shore, they found that the first door had lodged under the ship, so they managed to rescue that one too.
I find it interesting, just an aside, interesting that they would get these doors, we have to do with Har Bayit and close to the Hakel, all this kind of stuff from Egypt, the place that they left because they were so embittered. They left there, and that's where they got the doors from. They could have gone anyplace else.
As long as they're not getting horses from Egypt, that's okay. I don't know. There's no prohibition of doing trade with Egypt.
I understand. It sounds, like why would you go to Egypt when you can, why would you buy something from them?
That's where the suppliers were. No, okay. Anyway, so there was this nice that happened with the Sharnik, and said we're not covering over the copper of this one. But and there are those who say that the real reason why they did that was because the copper was so well burnished that it shone like gold.
Right.
Anyway, I prefer the first story. Okay, so that's it's for the new Mishnayos, and we can go back to Tamid.
Here. Okay, here we are. Tamid. Okay, Daled Beit. He would not break a hind leg of the Tamid, rather he would make a hole of its knee and hang it from the hole. He would skin the lamb as it went down until he reached the area of the breast. He reached the breast and cut off the head and gave it to whoever won the privilege of carrying it. He cut off the feet and gave them to whoever won the privilege of carrying them, and he completed the skinning. He tore open the heart, removed his blood. He cut off the foreleg and gave them to whoever won the privilege of carrying them. He went up to the right hind leg, cut it off, and gave it to whoever won the privilege of carrying it, and the two testicles were left attached to it. He tore open the body cavity, and thus it completely revealed it. He took the fat and put it on the place of the inside incision of the head on the top. The intestines gave it to whoever had won the privilege of carrying them in order to rinse them. He would rinse the stomach in the rinsing chamber as much as he needs, and the intestines would be rinsed at least 3 times upon marble tables, which were between the pillars. I keep wanting to say whomever instead of whoever. So I don't know if it's me or the. I'm not sure about the English on that one. He took the knife and separated the lung from the liver and separated the liver appendage from the liver. He would not budge it from its place, and he would piece the sides of the breast and give it to whomever won the privilege of carrying it. He went up to the right flank. He would cut down to the spine, but he would not touch the spine until it reached the 2 soft ribs. He cut off the right flank and gave it to whoever won the privilege of carrying it, and the liver was suspended within the right flank. He approached the neck and left it in 2 ribs from this side and 2 ribs from that side. He cut the neck section and gave it to whoever won the privilege of carrying it, and the trachea, heart, and lungs were suspended within it. He approached the left flank and left 2 soft ribs above and 2 soft ribs below, and he would leave on the same on the counterpart, and thus he would leave both flanks and 2 above, and 2 below. He would cut off the left flank, give it to whomever won the privilege of carrying it, and the spine was together with it, and the spleen was suspended within it. In truth, the left flank was greater, but it was the right flank that they referred to as the greater one because the liver was suspended within it. He portion cut it off and gave it to whomever won the privilege of carrying it, and the fatty tail of the liver appendage and the 2 kidneys were together with it. He took the left hind leg and gave it to whoever won the privilege of carrying it. Thus, all of the Kohanim were standing in a row, and the limbs were in their hands. The first Kohen with the head in the right hind leg, the head was in his right hand, and the snout facing his arm, and the horns between his fingers. And the place of its incision was above the fat placed upon it. And the right hind leg was in his left hand, and the place of the skin facing outward. The second Kohen with his 2 forelegs on the right hand, and the left one in his left hand, with the place of the skin facing outward. The third Kohen with the back portion of the left hind leg, the back portion with his right hand and the fatty tail hanging between his fingers, and the left liver appendage and 2 kidneys with it. The left hind leg in his left hand with the place of the skin facing outward, and the fourth Kohen with the breast and the neck, the breast in his right hand, the neck in his left hand with the neck ribs between the fingers. The fifth Kohen with the 2 flanks, the right one in his right hand, the left one in his left hand with the place of the skin facing outward. The 6th Kohen with the intestines, which were placed in his spoon, and the feet were placed upon the intestines. The 7th Kohen with the fine flour, the 8th Kohen with the skavitim, the 9th Kohen with the wine. The Kohen went and placed the limbs from the halfway point of the ramp and down on its west side, and they salted these items. Then these Kohanim descended and came to its chamber of hewn stone to recite the Shema. Okay.
One more.
All right. Let me just over here. Okay. So, the appointed said to the Kohanim, recite a single blessing, and they recited the blessing. They recited the 10 statements. Hear, O Israel, and it will come to pass if you will hearken. And Hashem said they recited 3 blessings, Emes V'yativ, and the service. And the blessing of the Kohanim and the blessed Sabbath, they would say, and a single blessing for the outgoing Mishna.
Okay.
Yes. Beit Dalet. Woman who gave birth many times, if she aborted a female within the 80 days, and then again aborted a female within the 80 days, or she aborted the multiple births, Rabbi Yehuda says she brings an offering for the first, but not for the second. She does bring for the third, but she does not bring for the fourth. These bring a viral offering for the sin of hearing the voice of adulation, for the uttering an oath, for contaminating the temple and its consecrated food, the woman who has given birth, and the mitzvah. And what's the difference between the slave woman and all the other forbidden intimacies? She is similar to them, neither regarding the punishment or not regarding the offering. For all forbidden intimacies require katos, with the slave woman an ashem. And all forbidden intimacies require a female animal, with the slave woman a male. Regarding all forbidden intimacies, both the man and the woman are the same regarding lashes or an offering, whereas regarding the slave woman, the Torah did not equate the man to the woman concerning lashes, nor the woman to the man regarding an offering. In all forbidden intimacies. The Torah considers a partial union as a complete one, and he is liable for every act of intimacy. For the following stringency, the Torah dealt more stringently with the slave woman. Regarding her case, the Torah equated the willful transgression with the inadvertent one. Which is the slave woman? Anyone who was half slave and half free, as it is stated, and redeemed, she was not redeemed. In the words of Rabbi Akiva, Rabbi Yishmael said, "This is she who is a real slave woman." Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah says, "All the forbidden intimacies are stated explicitly, and what is the exception? We must conclude that it's she who is half slave and half free." Okay,
One more.
gets my breath. Okay, in all forbidden intimacies, if one was of age and one was of minor, the minor is exempt. If one was awake and one was asleep, the one who was asleep is exempt. If one was unintentional and the one was intentional, the unintentional one is liable for katos, and the intentional one is liable for taras.
Okay. Menachos.
Oh, wait, I put the wrong. Oh, that's right, put it right. Katos, and we have Yud Ryan. Wheat, barley, spelt, oats, and rye are subject to kala and combined with one another. They are forbidden to be eaten with the chadash before Pesach and for being reaped before the omer. If they took root before the omer, the omer renders them permissible. If not, they are forbidden until the following omer. We may reap the irrigated fields in the valleys, but we may not stack. The people of Jericho reaped the approval of the sages and stacked against the sages' wishes, but the sages not issue a protest against them. One may reap unripe grain and feed it to animals. Said Rabbi Yehuda, when he began before it reached the third. Rabbi Shimon says you may reap and feed it even after it reached the third. We may reap for the benefit of the saplings. We may reap for a place for mourning and in order to avoid a cessation of study. He may not make them into bundles. Rather, he leaves them in heaps. The commandment of the Omer is that it should become from standing grain, and if he did not find, he may bring from the sheaves. Its commandment is that it should come from the fresh. If it did not find, he may bring it from the dry. Its commandment is that it be reaped by night, and if it is reaped by day, it is valid and it overrides Shabbos.
Okay. Matzia.
My cat is crying and crying. All he wants to do is be held and pet. Please. Okay. Vavket. If one moves a cast from one place to another and breaks it, whether it is an unpaid shomer or a paid shomer, he must swear. From Eliezer says, indeed, both must swear, but I wonder whether both can swear. If one hired laborers in order then to work early and late in a place where it is customary not to work early and not to work late, he has no right to compel them. In a place where it is customary to give the workers food, he must give them food to provide relish. He must provide relish. Everything must be done according to the local custom. It once happened that Rabbi Yochanan ben Masia said to his son, "Go out and hire laborers for us." He went and agreed to give them food. When he came to his father and he said to him, "My son, even if you prepare for them a meal like Solomon's banquet in its time, you have not discharged your duty toward them. For they are children of Abraham, Isaac, and Yaakov, and rather before they start work, you go out and say to them, on condition that you have no claim upon me other than bread and beans." And Shimon Gamaliel says he did not have to say everything according to his local custom. They may eat by virtue of the law of the Torah, one who works with produce attached to the ground at the time of the completion of the work, or produce attached from the ground. When its work is not yet completed, it's something that grows from the ground. These do not eat. One who works with produce attached to the ground when the work is not completed, or with produce attached from the ground after its work has been completed, or with something that does not grow from the ground.
Okay. Pesachim.
Okay, Tessal. One who was contaminated or was on a distant journey and had not observed the first Pesach must observe the second. If he erred and was prevented or therefore did not observe the first Pesach, he must observe the second. If so, why is it said, one who was contaminated or on a distant journey, because they are exempt from Karet, and both are the level of the Karet. What is a distant journey? From Modi'in and beyond, or like a distance in any directions. These are the words of Rabbi Akiva. Rabbi Eliezer says from the threshold of the temple courtyard and beyond. Rabbi Yossi says, therefore, as there is a dot over the letter Hey, and as it Hey is not to say that because it's literally distant, but rather from the threshold of the temple courtyard and beyond. What are the differences between the first Pesach and the second? The first Pesach comes under the prohibition of it shall not be seen, it shall not be found, whereas the second Pesach, both matzah and chametz are with him in the house. The first requires the recitation of Hallel during the Pesach eating, but the second does not require Hallel during the eating. Both require the recitation of Hallel when they are offered. Both are eaten roasted together with matzah and bitter herbs, and both override Shabbos.
Okay.
If the place, that's it.
I think that was it, yeah?
Okay, and we have one more in Daled Beit. Regarding someone regarding someone upon whom rain fell, even if he is an avatuma, the water is not included in the law of water is placed. If he shook it off, the water is included in the law of water is placed. If he stood under a pipe to cool off or to rinse himself in the case of tame person, the water is tame. In the case of a towel person, the water is included in the law of water is placed. Regarding one who turns over a dish on top of a wall so that it will be rinsed, this water is included in the law of water is placed. If he turns over the dish so that the walls should not be damaged, the water is not included in the law of water is placed. Regarding a barrel into which a leak dripped, Peshama says he must break the barrel, but Basil says he may pour out the water, but they agree that he may stretch out his hand and take the produce from the wall from within the barrel, and the produce is tahor.
Okay.
Okay.
And we are done.
Hey, look how much time you have. Wow.
Yeah, I'll make it.
Okay.
Much.
I'll see you tomorrow, Mr. Shem. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.